You won't know who I am from what you perceive. But if you listen when we speak, then you will receive a glimpse of who I am. And then you'll believe and have a life of peace, because your soul is at ease. You see, our source is the essence of which this world is conceived, which means that we were here before the bird and the bees. Now if you have not guessed, I am eternity. But now if you have guessed, and you guessed correctly, that simply means we share the same destiny to realize we are the God and Trinity that is talked about in Christianity. Now some will say that vanity will go as far as insanity. It's because they believe in Western theology. But as we see, we choose ancient Kemetic philosophy. Not to say that's the only path to immortality. That's the path for we, this life, you see, as we devote our life to helping others be free, so they in turn can reach their full divinity. And this is done because of the he in I and the I in he. Peace and wholeness.
All right, cool. Welcome to Soulful Sunday. Here we are. Soulful Sunday. First time in 2025. So, first one is Soulful Sundays for those who may be new. It is about an event, a gathering, a fellowship of like minds that look at reality from a different perspective. When we use that perspective of, say, religion, for example, because Soulful Sundays we meet at 11 a.m., which is usually the church hour or spiritual hour. People engage in various religious services, spiritual services, things like that. So from that perspective, Soulful Sundays saying we're a fellowship of like minds that look at who we are as human or self as a manifestation of, in other words, another Christ, an incarnation of God, that kind of philosophy. So, and the fellowship is the discussion, engaging in what does that actually look like in real time? How do we actually apply that philosophy so that if we choose to, we may do greater works, greater things in these, and then in the capacity of assisting humanity and realizing that they too can have a relationship with the Creator, with the All, in such a way that they can be rid of things, or, whatever they choose to do. But they should create would be as such a place of ease, peace, joy, things like that. So, in a nutshell, just then discuss the esoterics from our experiences with that. Here we have Soulful Sunday, and today is a special edition of Soulful Sundays because we're going to dive a little bit into the history of I Am It, which was set out. There's a whole commercial video sent out about that. Those who only got the message on Eventbrite may not miss that part. So that's the part that we got also. After we officially do our opening prayer, invocation, libation, meditation in the form of a sound collage. So with the sound collage is everybody got an instrument and or yourself as the instrument, your voice, sing, and we're making a joyful noise unto ourselves, to the world, to humanity. As the inner child is out, we're free. Our thoughts, our prayers, the portal is open. And this is all right here. And we just find that thing. All our relations. We enter the expand this portal of oneness. Here we are. We got to open that front door a bit as well. So let's see. Huh?
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should. Maybe you might open the. Just open the.
Yeah, sure.
You would open that freeze. Soulful Sundays. Yeah, the Martha, she's came around like last year, so she's it's not the first time it's yeah, if you like our introduction, so we just yourself, Master Ashep, the holder of the space, as we all teachers and students at the same time in this environment, sharing and learning from each other throughout stories. So it's a pleasure to be here to hold the space in the temple. It's a wonderful place for starseeds, light workers, divine beings, to come and gather, network, and just to be encouraged and inspired amongst each other. So, that's what we share. Introduce yourself.
I thought we'd start on that side.
Okay.
I'm Chris. I'm also just here to enjoy an experience and spend some time with some like-minded people.
Cool. Right on.
My name is Marky. I've been here quite a few times before at this point in time, and I'm just happy to be here and hear what you have to share.
I'm Tori. This is Daniel. We've been a couple times. It's our first time coming to Soulful Sunday, just trying to get into a healing community and be around like-minded people.
Here we are. Again, the Mother Earth is a beautiful place for that. Not the only one, but it's one here in Southeast Washington, D.C. So we give thanks for this space. And we found this matriarch, patriarch, king and queen beloved, aka Goddess and not King James. So give thanks for that. So just briefly about I Admit. Today, April the 6th, is actually what we now call our Founders Day, and we'll be starting next year. Will be more of a celebration. It just came up this year. It's like, wait a minute, for the 11th, this will be starting the 11th year that I Admit has been around. What is I Admit? I Admit is a lifestyle, a philosophy, and a movement to assist, while at the same time being an example of one who is realizing their full potential as an embodiment of Christ consciousness, a manifestation, a unique manifestation of all there is, all there was, and all that shall be. And it began before I Admit was I Admit. It began as a gathering in 2013. Operation of the I.C.U, on Milwaukee. The idea was to bring all the conscious, help people together for like a health fair, like a news for a health fair. That was the idea. Let's do a big health fair, bring all the people together. And as we was thinking about it, one of the suggestions was not to, why do a health fair? Let's do a movement, like a healthy movement in 2013. And the name that came from that was the Collective Health Initiative. And like a lot of movements, it required a lot of energy and focus. And about 2-3 months since we agreed upon that, my person was the only one that was left. And for the next year, we still collect the information and talk about it. Living people let's do this movement. About 6 months later, we was introduced to this school called the Institute of Spiritual Enlightenment, I.C.U, in Northwest Washington, D.C. at the time. The founders now Nan says she's transitioned. However, a lot of the individuals at that school were familiar with, at that time, was kind of the Moorish movement. It's still around, not as much or as trending or as energy surrounding. And this was a movement around 2009, 2012, 13. A lot of people, indigenous people, were looking at how we were, not all African Americans came over from Africa. There were quite a bit that were already here that helped establish and, form a relationship. Some even had slaves. However, in the study of just understanding history and who we are as a people, one of the things that we saw that was missing was the spiritual component of that. So at the Institute of Spiritual Enlightenment, it is the that movement of the indigenous people, which at its core is the embodiment of oneness with all things, all people, all things. From the indigenous perspective, we all one. Somehow we call it my eyes, honoring all things as an expression of the divine, as we all. Even though in Christianity it is spoken about, some call it even rhetoric, that God is everything, God is in everything. And there should be a reverence for all things and all people because of the presence of God. Yet, the embodiment of that may be lacking, which may lead people to really question, is it so? And so from an indigenous mind, we're saying we must be that because it's, it's indigenous mind. So I admit, saying let's add the spiritual component to the indigenous component of all is one. And so in 2014, the concept of the indigenous Aboriginal man in trust. So I am an acronym, Indigenous Aboriginal man in trust. I am it. And our slogan is, I am it, and so are you. Yes, you are. Yeshua, Yeshua, another body of Christ consciousness. So what have we been doing for the past 10 years and say? Continue to move in the direction of embodying that and holding space to where we are now. And just like any organization, movement, whether it be government, private, whatever it may be, people come and go. And the vibration of I admit is to be so consumed with our daily, what is called self-love practices, self-love rituals. Because if we're looking at doing greater works, if we say we are gods, and in order to really fully manifest by that, become one with God, which God is on the inside. So the seeking you first that the scripture is talking about, I admit everybody that is our self-love practices. And relaxing, becoming more self-aware, checking how we feel, the inner voice from the inside, these types of things. So as people have come and have gone, where we are so far is the IMIT structure is we have a health ministry and an education ministry. And the Soulful Sunday is part of the education ministry. Educating, who we are and how to embody that. And so therefore this physical body feels the fullness of the soul. It's Soulful Sunday. The collective health initiative is the health ministry of the collective is the very beginning when we started, which is now the health ministry. Aside from that, we have our ministers and ministries, which is the individuals that vibe by it. They have their own business, organization, service. For example, as the patriarch of IMIT spokesperson, holy things like that, part of the opposition movement. Soul healing is also the personal brand, is actually a ministry under IMIT. So they have some ministry. So and what it looks like is whenever IMIT does defense, there's still a lot of ministers and ministries who actually want to, presenting, vending, and all those things. So we're open to anyone who says, if it resonates with you, just come to the events such as this. There's Freedom Fridays, the second Friday. June the third Friday, the Everlasting Life. We now have what's called Dine and Dine. Dine and Dine is actually an Everlasting Life restaurant. It's a restaurant named Everlasting Life. So while dining on delicious food at Everlasting Life, we dive deep into conversations on what does it take to embody a lifestyle for obtaining everlasting life. And our latest event, we're preparing to be over. It's called One Love. One Love is True Change. We want to start doing a new moon event, from new moon to new moon. And that event is centered around I look at healing as not so much as a light switch, not so much as let's go get to this event and have a Kundalini awakening and it'll be all good. And it'll be perfect from that point on. That's some people approach it that way, and that's fine for the free will. I admit's approach is, well, let's understand what is this community and what type of lifestyle does one have to allow it to naturally begin to grow and expand and evolve to its fullest. And we're enjoying the process of it mature and the effects and what happens with that. So that's more our approach, which is the new move. Actually, the event is called cosmologically healing. Cosmologically healing because we're talking from the new move to the new move. What is the zodiac, the planet, things like that, how it affects us, which energy center chakra may be associated with it, how does it manifest physiologically, emotions, things like that. So we're just going to dive deep off into that aspect. So those are the four major events that we currently holding space for in this 2025 season on a regular basis. Everything else will be something we'll be playing, like a fundraiser, other things like that. And again, we're just saying we're holding space at these events just for us to fellowship and have more direct conversations about what does it mean to really look at life from this perspective. And the embodied integration is with all that's going on in society, in our personal lives, school, work, whatever we may be doing, where people may be really engaged in the details of the 3D reality. So much so that they're reacting so much, from what's going on to the details of it, as opposed to sitting back and looking at the bigger picture and responding to, a way that's they guys have, say we should respond, we should move this way, for whatever reason they have to. So the shame, again, I am just holding the space, which is why people think that so much earth is here because it's a physical space. And so now I admit have a more physical space to come and meet and gather. We get twice a month, along with the other events that the Temple of Earth has, such as the sacred plant medicines and things of that nature, and the own integration and things of that nature. So that's what we have today. And the future plans is my person looking to relocate to the mountains of Jamaica in 2027 to open the I.C.U Center, which is, the Bible Temple of Earth, really. That's, a place to come and do the same thing. It's just we're in the mountains, so the environment is a little different. A place to come stay, retreat space if needed for this amount of time, to retreat from the environment, to kind of reset, reconnect with the God on the inside, and then continue a journey, effective vaccination for you. So in a nutshell, that's how we started, that's where we are now. And outside of the events, we're looking to just go to Jamaica and have the spiritual retreat center, while at the same time continue to hold spaces for those who are open to embody the divinity. That's it. We're it. You're it. That's it. The questions online, All right, well, give thanks for letting your brother share that, because again, today is April the 6th, and it was 14 years ago this day, April the 6th, that we actually signed the Declaration of Independence. It's on the website. Oh, the website is iamit.me. Website, iamit.me. And on that, the Declaration of Independence that we signed with this date. So it's like, well, we signed it on this date, Soulful Sunday, the I.C.U, which is the Indigenous Cultural University, I.C.U, Indigenous Cultural University. So, the Soulful Sundays, we just sharing the history because it ties into there's a lot of movement. So we're honoring the movement from the matriarch, who's now an ancestor. We hold in space, Reverend Dorita Dixon Bay. I admit we still going on. So we have to honor past, present, futures happen at the same time. So we always honor and give gratitude for those who are currently and have still assisting with the overall goal. All right. So, yeah, Sunday now we kind of smooth each other together. This vibe here. So, what was it then? What was the curiosity that made you want to come to the Soulful Sunday? Let's start with that. What is it that you thought you may be open to experiencing here?
Me, whenever learning about you are Christ consciousness, I want, want to learn more about that. Been lied to a lot of it in our life, so it's like I want to know more. And then whenever you realize, you have certain gifts, but it was like I was talking to Dr. Sonata about it, like I have to get my chakras in balance, like especially with my confidence to be able, because I know that's my purpose.
Right.
And so to be able to get into that confidence of doing that and just, like I said, being around like-minded people.
Yeah. This is it. You are, because you it. See, that's how it works. Anyone else? That's what I need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I started coming here because I thought that the event I was going to was a sound bath event. When I realized I was wrong, I was delighted that I was wrong. And I started coming again and again just because I was in a place in my life, and I still am, where I just felt like I was just trying to make sense of everything. And a lot of the conversations we had about metaphysical law really helped me to bring context to something that I just felt like I guess how you explained earlier, like sometimes when you get stuck in 3D, everything kind of seems so narrow.
Right.
You don't really get to zoom out and see the full context of everything going on. So I felt like that knowledge was something that I really needed and gave me perspective. It expanded me, and so I continue to come back for that reason. And also because I love you.
Oh.
I do.
It's reciprocated. Love is in the air. Everywhere. I love that. Get back to shit. Anyone else?
And I love everyone who shows up and everything that they share. I always feel like I learned something from everyone.
Yeah.
And then it also makes you feel like you're not alone. There's other people out there.
Yeah. At that part, yeah. It's a joy itself. Anyone else? So, yeah, you and I know. Well, just a little bit about this journey, because it's the same journey for us, generally speaking. My friend that they just had a little bit of a head start. And that head start came in 1994, around 94, 95. Like a lot of people, not everyone, but a lot of people doing a lot of traumas, childhood. Things that happened that were like, oh, this was like, about trauma. So around 94, wanted to get back in church, feel as though our relationship with God, with Jesus would help. Jesus, He saved you. You get that, So we're back to the church, and we're going to be one of the Christians. Well, it is today, just a better Christian, because it was reading the Bible, read about Enoch didn't die. Then read about Elijah didn't die. So I was reading about those two prophets, like not physically dying in the Bible. It's like, wait a minute. And, at that time, God was in the sky, believed and confessed, and you going to heaven with God in the sky. Like, God, we want to, work for you so that when the work is done, to be like this. And that was a desire. That's all the desire was back then. So the journey was understanding. First of all, after that, Christianity was like, we got to leave this because the excitement was there. Yo, it wasn't with the people. So we say, okay, well, Christianity is not it. You like kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like right here, it talks about where did God come. Nah, you gotta go with Hindu and Tao and all the religions. So it's like spirituality. Then at some point, around maybe about 20 years later, 20 years later, starting to see how, wait a minute, how it was the same thing in a lot of different stuff. The esoteric stuff was all like, wait. So just coming back to Christianity, said, oh, let's see what happened here. Let's see what happened. Some things may have been, just arranged, translated in such a way is not empowering the people as much as it could. And this is speaking from not in the details of it, but just from a broader perspective of it is what it is. And finding out that this broader perspective of it is what it is really helps my person to accept what is, as opposed to feeling like it shouldn't be. So it's all accept it is by it. And Christianity, my person found out is the most recent analogy is the yin yang symbol. The yin yang with the white on one side, the black on one side, the little dot. Forget that. Like yin yang. So Christianity would be, say, more on the dark side, with the light, with the little. There's something there. However, the way it is now is not as there. Whereas in times past, it was more like, hey, sure, he's the example, he's the disciple. It was more like, yes, this is it. So it has, because the yin yang is actually moving. We don't see it. We see it stagnant. But of course, it's an emotion. It's evolution. Hence, there's a time for light to rule, or there's a time for darkness to rule. It's just from a bigger perspective of evolution and cycle. And so, from that perspective, we say, oh, now it's time for Christianity to be used not as much as a salvation piece, but maybe more so as a grounding piece. Maybe from a lot of perspective. And so I was like, oh, well, that's fine. However, for those who want to use it as what it was, the original light, the original piece, well, let's see how we can do that. And so here's where I admit the Soulful Sunday come in that. They say, how can we use that piece, which is still there? It's not magnified. It's not talking about a whole lot, but it's still there. How can we use that which is still there and bring life back to it? And so that we're holding space for all those others who say, we don't like the way the direction that Christianity is moving, like the time. We don't like the way the direction the country is moving. So let's not do some other things. We don't really buy the way Christianity is being. So let's look at a different, we just presenting a different option as far as looking at it. So that's my personal story again. With that, not when it died, finding stuff out. So in 2014, it was all of that experiences says, okay, let's start to do something to give you our hope and faith. And one of the things come to find out with soul healing, the personal journey of doing his own self-love rituals, as it looks at itself, because my person says my person, which is this being that is seen. And this being that is seen, my person just let you know there's actually 4 bodies. You see the physical. However, the physical is attached to the emotional body, and then the emotional body is attached to a mental body, the mental body is attached to a spiritual body. So that's just the levels of densification of energy from spirit to air, water, earth. The 4 bodies, 4 elements, 4 bodies, have correlated relationship within those like that. And so it's suggested that the spiritual body is associated with our understanding of spiritual laws and concepts. Golden rule, karma, law of attraction, mentalism, rhythm, all these different laws, do this, that happens. Then the mental body, which Joe was speaking, my brother said, it is associated with our understanding of how these laws actually manifest in our lives. Oh, that's how the laws manifest. The mental body, see the spiritual laws manifest. You know, to the degree that we see them manifest, and it's great. Now, this is where a lot of the challenge comes from my personal experience. This emotional body. For some reason, my person can. This is a law to manifest. If it's not something that's beneficial, like like a blessing, like yes, the law works for us. If the law tend to work against us, sometimes this emotional body, like so that happens. The emotional body, and the physical body, because it's really close to the emotional body, will be feeling some stuff. Feel something going on in the body. Didn't know it was sharp pain. Because the physical body is receiving the direct sensations of the emotional body. So this is why we say the Soulful Sunday, they'll come together. I said, let's come together so that for those of us who have this understanding of the spiritual body, and we see how it happens. It's like, we talk about our story, man. This happens in wild stories, man. Most people wouldn't believe these kind of stories because we see how these spiritual laws and metaphysical stuff is actually happening. Now we hold the safe space so we begin to accept them as part of our reality. And to, if it resonates, to see how these things, if they're unpleasant, they don't happen to us, they happen for us. For us to gain that deeper insight as to what is it that maybe needs some attention to be more harmonized within our own self. One of those laws my person looks at is the law of correspondence. Route shop, with this little caveat. There are many chakras in the body. My person really gives more attention to the 7 major chakras. That line is bound because of the 7 days of the strong, or something the 7 days of the weak. But the 7 days of the strong have a correlation as well as the zodiac, specifically from the ancient times, where it was used the 7 inner planets, which is the eye, 7 chakras, inner planets, and the deities, which kind of correlate with the archangels, because the deities in ancient indigenous traditions, as well as the archangels, Christianity, they have a planetary correlation. Planetary correlation, if you go, there's a whole system can be cultivated in these 7 major ones. And also, there are the Hermetic principles is based upon 7 universal laws for thought. So then just sharing a personal insight to my person speaking. This comes from they spent time with this person has attributed it more associated with the 7 major energy centers. So it speaks this way as far as to help them to align the 7 major energy centers. Because it also found within the 7 majors is the emotional body, the mind, the mental body, the heart, and the spiritual body, Kundalini and crown chakra. Anyway, so we're thinking about the laws and how the law corresponds so within, so without, so that whatever happens on the outside says, it's not the most pleasant. And so accepting it, saying, well, it's not pleasant, so why wasn't it pleasant? So what is it that's inside of us that's not doing this well? Which one of our internal family systems, which one of these, which one of these energy centers has a different perspective? One of the scriptures says, if therefore an eye be singular, then my whole body is full of light. My person working that for the last month or so saying, the first, if an eye be singular, it suggests from my person that we see it from God's eye. And if God can see all sides of it, to the degree that my person is able to see all the sides from different angles, angles of light, chakras, each one is seeing the manifestation of God from a certain perspective. So you see, However, if one of them is not tuned in, right, because it's been trained, programmed, conditioned right? To see something a certain way and feel a certain way about it, that maybe not align with the overall of how we are now. It's gonna be talk speaking up, answer stuff. So one person says, whatever's happening, it now begins to check in with itself and see which one of you is not having this similar perspective that we all have. Whether it's about meditation, it's self-talk, just whatever the tool that my person has to check in, it does. So again, and this is a way to allow it to begin to feel differently about what's happening, especially when intellectually we have an understanding of what's happening. That's a good one. Because a lot of people will say that they with God. They're free. It's better, we celebrate life, and then of course we don't stand the physical pain. It's yes, and both of them there. And sometimes the longing for them puts people in such a way they're not able to continue their own journey, even though they may be intellectually, they're in a better place. Even though they may have said, it's time for me to go now, I'm ready to go. I'm off passing the order. I'll see you later. Deuces. But I want me to go. That grief, the long shot. So it's they're in a better place. However, the emotions just keep them from moving forward. And we use that as an example because one, it's extreme, two, it's major. It's like, and again, not to say one way is better than the other. I'm just saying from its experiences, just saying this is what happened. It has seen it happen and it experienced it itself. Because death from a loved one, maybe looked at as the principle there is loss. And the emotion is grief. The woman is lost. And so even if we, lose some money, relationship, man, we got so long. A pet, favorite shoes. Oh, man, I love these shoes now. Something happened now, I can't wear them. Whatever it may be, this thing of your longing for. But it's let you know all things are temporal. Everything comes and goes. There's something new coming. We got to get rid of something so that something new will come very fast. So again, we just kind of getting different analogies. For example, with how we can have an intellectual awareness from the mental body, from the spiritual laws, or the esoteric laws, how they work. Yet to the degree how you feel about them determine the physical body's, how its state. Questions, comments, or chime in? Does it help any?
I can relate with that situation like last time, and that's kind of around the time where I was just things just wasn't making sense, and then things coming to me, and my dad passed away in 2020. But since then, and being on the journey and stuff, I just in December, I've known so many people, but I'm they're looking, I feel I feel like they're, because where they go is so much more beautiful than here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I do think of that situation is different now. Yeah. Since it can be attacked, like you said, everything's temporary.
Right.
No throwing the ball right here.
So that makes a difference on. Have you noticed a difference in that? Exactly. Right. Exactly.
I'm just okay, well, they're lucky, they're going to a more beautiful, because you're going right back to the universe,
Right,
that's beautiful in itself. So it does make you think different on it.
Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, is there anything that on this personal journey that you may have a challenge or still looking to see the good or why something happened to find a peace with it? So just to see. Death was an example, but it could be something, relationship, or work, or politics. Yeah. It's it's wide open because there's so many things going on now in society that tends to keep us away from having a conversation like this, and or just being what we already know. So it's like it's clarity over now. So it's on. And the other members of the I am Nick family. How are y'all? I'm well. How you doing? Oh yeah, the introduction may be good also to the
Peace. I'm Faison. I've been with the temple for 3 years now. Committed to contributing to the community healing and enlightenment. Being the vibe and bringing positive energy as much as I can. Peace and love, everyone.
Hi everyone, I am Monique, or you might hear people around me call me Dr. Monique around me sometimes. Also, I'm coming into my being as goddess Seknatari. So that's another way that I am called. And I am a trauma therapist, hypnotherapist, healer of many sorts, mommy to this being here. Jordan, and also Caden, who runs around a little some of the time when he's here. And I am it. I am one of the members of I am it as well. I'm not going to get into a whole long litany of many of all the things, but I hold space as well and can hold groups and contribute to my own healing, which then gets back to the healing.
we were just talking about the challenge sometimes we have with how we feel about what's happening. That's one of the main things. We intellectually have to know what's happening, know the laws, see them working, but yet feel a certain way when they coming out. Ooh, you came over here with that. We saw it over there. I working with they like, oh, but now it's over here. Ooh.
It does take effort when it's affecting you personally.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it.
Right. Yeah. I'm sure just do the same thing about the analogy of death. Of course, I was just saying that death of a loved one, a family, is an extreme form of that. Mm-hmm. But also, would it be a pet, an animal, favorite shirt, shoes. We can't find, a notebook or something. It's a backpack. Oh man, we left something on the plane and then coming back, whatever. Something we lose something. It's the depth of it because it's not returning in the same form that it was. All we have is a remembrance of it. And so we use that example of, okay, how do we, intellectually know that, okay, something better's coming, got to make space for something else because they're not way now. How do you either make that shift faster and or be at peace until that shift comes.
The process of the alchemy, transmuting that negative into a positive is where the work and magic comes up.
I've been sitting with this idea lately of returning to of like we die billions of times a day.
Yeah, because each moment you're somebody new.
Exactly.
Every time you learn something, you become someone new.
And the energy is constantly shifting. And that's the death. And so it helps me to return to like, oh, death can be something that is an invitation to recreate, birth something new, literally in the very next moment. Mm-hmm. And like taking that from this big, broad, esoteric thing to really small, like this is applied to everything all the time. It helps to bridge those worlds.
I agree. You change in the twinkling of an eye.
In the twinkle of an eye.
It is possible.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily apply to situations, like major situations like grief, like when you lose somebody. Because I think what I was about to say next would be like a little extreme for an instance like that. But I was taking a class the other day from an energy work healer who was basically describing like in like the thing that you see that happens to you, this 90-second rule that they have you heard of the 90-second rule where essentially like from a nervous system perspective, your body is like processing the negative messed up thing for 90 seconds as a means of like we're working this through and out.
Okay.
And anything past that 90 seconds is kind of you looping the 90 seconds and kind of like living in this loop, living the past as opposed to just being present. Like now, since you've held on to that thing for more than 90 seconds, it's kind of like now in you, you know, not released. So like it's looping now, basically. Which is why I don't think it's appropriate to say like you figure out someone that you love just died. You have 90 seconds to process that thing.
Yeah, right.
I don't mean it like that. I think maybe I'm more talking about major or minor diseases that have not been basis, but how they can accumulate in us when we don't have like the faculties to be able to release it as it's moving through us. Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Other than that, because it was very interesting to me because I feel like I hold on to things a little bit longer than I should. Small things.
Right.
So yeah, I'm trying to, you know, really be present. As soon as something happens that I think is messed up, usually what ends up happening is like I'm like, oh my God, like just let it go. As soon as it happens,
Right.
don't feel that way, you know, and then it, you know, gets trapped somewhere because I'm just like, go away.
Right.
And then like it comes out like later in the day, you know, like I thought we got over that. What happened? We're still there. And then week, you know, the following week happens and I'm thinking about it and it's making me angry. And she was also talking about like when we get stuck in these loops, like how sometimes we'll literally even replay the situation in our head and like reenact it. And we're doing like this reenactment as a try to means of like to maybe get rid of it or like, you know, to try to like bring the feeling up to let it out. But sometimes that in and of itself actually magnifies it again and like makes the loop even stronger because it's not really releasing what happened and how you felt. Yeah.
Thanks for that. That sounds like some of your type of language over there.
It is. Yes. It's literally what I talk about every day.
So when my person got into that, it sounds as though what happened is the looping is the talk it out. It's a talk it out. Whereas opposed to the if the mechanisms was added, say such as tapping or moving while you're talking it out and saying this is why, because we appreciate you for saying this. However, we're moving to this direction. So while you're talking about it, with the moving and breathing and tapping, whatever you do, talking about it is not stagnant, it's being moved. And you start and say, because this is why, that's that maybe that alchemy of moving it out and putting the other thing in its place by adding some movement and tapping and as you talk about it. But this is what came to theory.
Yeah.
They were going to be doing more of this because you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. They said you're right.
Do what you say. Do what you say.
Right,
And that's exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
Show it. Yeah.
I just noticed this about like the way Master Ashep is, period. Like whenever you're talking, you're always like doing movement.
Mhm.
And I feel like especially if you're like channeling something or something's coming into you, like you're literally moving it through. And so like that's why I never see you like sitting like you're really doing what you're doing.
Yeah, give thanks to
Like
Bashar.
letting it move. Yeah.
There's this channeler, uh, Daryl Arthur is a channeler. He channels being E.T. called Bashar. And he channels him. He doesn't move as much, but like many channelers, they there's a certain like now because they're preparing for the high energy to enter the physical body. Because generally speaking, the physical body is designed to hold energy. Of course, because it holds everything, the emotional, mental, and spiritual body. So therefore, it's designed to hold it. Right. And something which was shared recently that shared with God of the economy. This physical body tends to be the barrier between the outer chi and the inner chi. And it is the relationship, how this inner chi relates to the outer chi, that determines, the physical body, body growing stuff like that. How it feels and stuff, how we feel about the outside stuff. And so Bashar, does his thing so that the physical body can be able to withstand and howl the energy. This is full circle because as we were speaking about the emotional body being close to the physical body, how we feel about certain things, the physical body is definitely going to right away, Lord, these things. So back to having the self-love rituals. Talked about this earlier. So my person is cultivate some self-love rituals. Because the self-love rituals, used to call them self-love practices or daily practices. So the self-love rituals, because you love yourself so much, you're constantly working with the physical body so that it can be able to withstand more and more high vibrational frequencies. In order for it to do that, the simple thing is the detox. The things that are not high vibrating, there's many things, ways to go about have a life of detoxing, while at the same time, just making it stronger. And so as you continue to put the stuff in that you want to be this way you should start looking at reality, move this way. The physical body is beginning to, it's easy to be embodied. And this is what we speak about earlier on, the stuff about the embodiment of it all, the embodiment of it. It's one thing to have it intellectually, but when you come to the body, I admit it's a lifestyle, a philosophy and a lifestyle. So the lifestyle is, what are we doing? It says, hey, how do you feel about what we say? How do you feel about how we show today? How do you literally feel about it if you don't feel okay about it? And then there's this conversation on the inside that says, what laws did we either overlook, didn't pay attention to, or we just don't know about that allow us to make different choices so that we can feel better, feel good about the choices that we make. Which is again is more of a, I don't know what I think, especially one that used to have a conversation with oneself like that. Like any relationship, it's all surface stuff at first. So, that kind of goes really deep. It's kind of, but the more deeper that you go, and my personal found, the more you set the mood, it's easier to go deep. Because after all, it is a relationship. You set that mood, my person calls it's shower time. It's Oya time. Oya. A deity from the Yoruba tradition. Traditionally associated with the thunderstorm, thunder and lightning. It is a feminine energy. My person said it's a big mother, grandmother. You know, that all the love, yeah, baby, you know, she would take care of you. That, you know, mama did something, I'm gonna take my little grandma did that. But that's the grandma did it. But if you was wrong, you know, you better not. It's the other side of that. It's that perfect balance of loving you to life, without you. If you don't, if you need something corrected, to let you know, hey. And so if the water comes from the shower, we say there's no thunder and lightning, because I am the water and the fire. But they don't, yeah, we just. So for my person, just sharing that because it's a faith. You know, at one point when the Bluetooth speaker in there, the incense and singing and dancing, but oh yeah, they're there to get the clarity cleared and wash away, and what we need to do is just, you know, not really going deep, but just relaxing. So then afterwards, we're just so relaxed and open, and some, you know, you know, little sacraments, plant medicine, you know, and we really go in. And then, you know, the movement and everything. So now it's not as much of that part, but it's been done so much that, you know, and now even before going to see, oh yeah, it's like, let's prepare to go see, oh yeah, now, and so it's become a lifestyle to prepare the physical body so that it's receptive and open. So now we get out into these things, it's more to the body because we're in that relaxed state. You know, because sometimes we may come there for something or just finish doing something and say, oh man, and the music on and just, okay. You know, and some things may happen. However, the deeper the experience, you know, sometimes may require a little bit more prep time, you know, a little bit more setup time, a little more, a few breaths, wind down, and even before you start doing that, it's okay. You might start doing it and just, you know, so they're suggesting that personally, you know, it's time to check in with self and add it to that. Because doing it personally, my person noticed the movement, like, oh, this feels good. Because it feels the energy moving. Huh? Like a thought comes, we move, and then we relax, and wow, we feel so much lighter. And we felt the shift of out with the old and in with the new, and like feel tired. Wow. Then we just sat this for a minute and after doing this for a while, we begin to say, oh, it really works. So yes, good things for reminder. So my person now has to connect more of the dots. Because sometimes it speaks about this stuff and you realize, it looks at the details. It does this in the lifestyle. However, like 10 years ago, we were doing it so much. Like every day, we were like 7 days a week, we were like, and now they don't do it as much. And they kind of forgot that it did that long. So now it's more sporadic, you know, okay, let's do something. You know, but if you did it like every so long, it is
it became a part of your
it's conditioned. So it's now not as intermediate now, it's just give thanks in the first remember. We do a lot of shit now.
It's also a lot of science behind EFT, emotional freedom happening, and I see a lot of validity, the philosophy of moving your body to help move stagnant energy from when it can get trapped into the body. I also see validity in putting a lot of energy into, you know, taking a sacred bath or making your shower, you know, a sacred practice to be more intimate with yourself and to get a lot more out of the energy instead of just, you know, cleaning yourself physically, you're also cleaning yourself mentally and spiritually as well by doing that sacred bath. You know, and the more you get into it and you set the intention for not only just cleaning yourself from being dirty, but mentally and emotionally as well too. So I definitely see that as a powerful practice, and I commend you for that reminder as well. I think I'll follow the advice and do the same.
You think that confirmation. You know, you just do things because they tell us they do this. And then you keep adding it, and you create your own thing. So that's good. Keep listening and being obedient. What's one of the things the person finds that separates also those who know and have and those who know and don't. which is the obedience. It was so funny that you said it, because it was a saying, the haves and have-nots. You put it on the spiritual side, that's also funny. It's spiritual, the have and have on the spiritual side. What good is having this intellectual understanding of how energy works and alchemy and the science of it? If we're not embodying it. So that's why that whole thing, yeah. It's so funny.
Nothing else to be applied, I agree.
Right. Yeah. So that's what, again, I admit, it's in the name, I admit. Which is why the more we come together, just by coming together, we're moved, because the subconscious mind is when we get at some point, goddamn, we it, so we must be it. Shit. But we gotta be it there. So it begins to say, okay, what does it look like? What is it gotta do based on what we gotta do this baby at then? But the more we come together, just talk about this grassroots, we got it. How we get into the body, we say, oh, that's he said, everybody says, okay. So the subconscious mind, I was like, ooh, it's watching everything. It's like, they serious about this thing shifting. They got people that say the same thing. This must be okay. This must be the new thing. So here we go. That's a joyous time to be aware of the journey. It's a journey. In all phases of it, even in just identifying, this is part of the journey. Is what it's supposed to be. Okay, all right. Well, if this is it, this is where it's supposed to be, then this is where it's supposed to be. Okay, well, so, yeah.
What you just said that it reminded me, just the thought of like I am it can be an overwhelming thought, like being all of it. Like what's the, okay, that's intellectually I can say that I am it, but then what does it look like as I'm living life step by step, moment to moment, interaction to interaction, like I'm like, oh, you gotta remember to breathe. Along with the tapping and the moving, like, because that thought, I felt it, like, instantly stop my breath. I was like, it's not to be it can be overwhelming, but, like, being it is like, I am the breath. Like, that's what it reminded me of, like, okay, yes, because my mind is like, I'm it, I'm the sun, the moon, the earth, this person, that person, everything is my reflection. It's like, okay, that's a lot for this little body.
Right.
But when I'm like, when I'm just the breath, which runs through everything, it gets a lot lighter, and I can just be the breath. So remembering to breathe, this breath is I say aloha, which is the breath of life. Breathing in the breath of God, and like, okay, everything is everything. It runs through me through the breath. And I'm like, okay, that's gentler. I'm gentler just to be the breath.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot lighter.
Yeah, it's a lot
Not as
lighter.
heavy.
Yeah. Because even when I think about all the things going on in the world that I might disagree with or judge, I'm that too. And then I have to sit with myself and really reflect on, well, what energy am I projecting out into the world? Am I projecting this fear or projecting this anxiety out there as I'm experiencing it myself? Probably so, yeah. So I have to bring myself back to my breath and like bring myself into a gentler space with myself, which allows that energy to resonate out, Yeah.
That's real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I struggle with me and him with we have been isolation for probably too long. Like we didn't interact with anybody at all. So it's like now trying to get out there, coming here, being around like-minded people, I get out a lot more to where I pick up people's energy and I don't always know what to do with it. So I get frustrated sometimes. And then I have to sit with myself and be like, this is not my energy, go away. I have to calm yourself down and then still do what you got to do during that day. So that's kind of what I'm working on with myself right now.
Do a good job.
Thank you.
Day by day,
I experience the same thing. Breathing and just like reminding myself that I am picking up on people's energy and it is okay for me to release, whatever it is that I'm experiencing. Like, it's interesting because it's like, I'm picking up, we might be picking up on somebody's energy, and it's like, okay, you acknowledge that it's not your energy, and then, like you said, what do I do with that? You know, it's not your business, mind my business. Like, send back, you know, pull back my personal energy, send back out whatever energies I discover aren't mine, and allow myself, I want to help everybody. So if I'm in this physical space with somebody, and I'm picking up on somebody's energy, and it's just like, oh man, like I really want to understand what their person is going. I mean, sometimes it's
I agree. I struggle with picking up on people's energy or absorbing the energy of the room. And, you know, I work with some psychic practitioners, and they told me that I had to learn how to develop a force field around my own energy so that I can sustain my own energy and not drain from my cup. You know what I'm saying? And choose when I want to interact with other people's energy or the room or the environment. You know, making sure that allow me not to absorb too much energy to the point where it becomes overwhelming. Because, you know, it can be a thing. You know, I'm thinking about what this person is thinking and how this is being perceived, and how I'm doing this. Am I doing this correctly? And it can, the rabbit hole can go so deep. But before, you know, I expend all that energy, you know, I must ask myself if, one, I have the energy to do this, or is this what I really want to do at this moment in time? So, you know, I just have to be cautious about how I absorb energy or how I give out energy, and just be conscious about it.
And you guys are masters of that, because that's one of the things, my person understands the concept, but yet you have to experience that. You're like, we feel something. Let's slip back. That's a, you look forward to that point. Ooh, that's a good fun game. This is like a fun game to play. Oh, you should know. You should, there you go. There you go. And it was the same way. Oh, you need a little uplifting. There you go. Show you some love right to the heart. Yeah, so we're looking forward to inviting this to another level of, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Ah. Yeah. Now, what Amy just said was, getting that way, you have to be super open. You gotta let it all in first. Then you can have to be more open. That's what we just said, be more open. That's how you start, be more open. Yeah.
I was gonna say, one of the things I was learning in the energy work school that I'm a part of is like if you know, someone is energetically corded to you in some way, or someone, you know, breaks that field of your energy and now their energy is in you, or maybe you absorbed it, you know, just by being around them, like whatever have you. If someone's stuff is in you, instead of sending it back to that person, the better thing to do is to actually send it back to the earth. Yeah, just because sending it back to someone, that could maybe even cause karma between you and them based on the spike. They're just like sending back their energy.
Okay, that makes sense.
Whereas if you send it back to the earth, like the way they talk about the earth is many things, but from the energy work perspective, the earth is also like a recycling center. So be able to repurpose that energy and maybe even send it back to them. You know, the earth doing that though.
Via the earth.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely a great middle
You think that?
Sending negative energy back to the earth is a common practice that a lot of spiritual teachers talk about. So I definitely agree.
Oh,
That
okay.
makes sense, because I just saw something too, that when you, whether it's positive or supportive energy, when you send an energy back and somebody knows how to send, or their energy is kind of just being sent back out. And if you're already absorbing it, the energy gets amplified. It's not just like a back and forth. When it comes back magnified or amplified. So you might say, as I'm understanding everything you just said, if I send the energy back to them, even though it's their energy, and I'm already also open to absorbing it, it's still come back, and it's going to come back amplified. So it's better to send it to her. Yeah. I like that. Thank you.
I think that's even a funner way to do it now.
Yeah, like if you intentionally want to be like confined and energy with somebody, then that's a good thing. You send it back and forth and like that. It's like, this amplification of love if that's what you're doing with this person. But if it's not intentional and you don't know what the energy is, it's like, no, just back to the earth. Yeah, alchemy.
Yep.
Yeah, let it alchemize the
Let it
energy.
be transmuted.
Mhm.
Mhm. Thanks, Mother Earth. Mhm. You just let it breathe right now. So much rich information. It makes sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it's not time. It's coming back.
Yeah, we're going to a couple.
I know one of the things, there was something that you all were talking about that I heard that reminded me, it's okay if I live my head right here, of our conversation yesterday. Not even a conversation, our energy exchange. Oh, it's so electric. All the way from all the miles away on the phone, it was just like, what was it? It was something that you all were talking about. Oh, about the sensitivity to others' energy. I think it was something that you had brought up, and then I was listening to you respond, Trevor, and it took me back to what we were discussing yesterday. That was a big part of it, and for me in particular, what was resonating was, and being able to my own, at the same time, awareness, but also lack of awareness of just how sensitive I am to others' energy. And it's, at the same time, it's like both what makes me amazing at what I do for a living, and on the other, and the reason why I am now having to be and being more intentional about how I manage how I dole it out, and also what I do to clear others' energy from my being, because I do take in so of the others intentionally, and also what's been coming up so much, and I was being knocked off balance a lot, was how I literally in an antenna and picking up on everybody else all the time. And like not paying attention to it and misreading. That's what it took me to. And a lot of times misreading because I'm so community oriented, so like are relational in nature beings who thrive in connection, and the imbalancing or the lack of harmonizing. It was not harmonized for a while. It was hard to stagnant, but was in the shadow expression of that. Was my being unconsciously open and aware and taking in others' energy in ways that were not were fulfilling for certain parts of me, but were like overdoing it. It was just out of alignment. And anyway, so there's a lot there, but I don't want to open up all of that. But it was just bringing my awareness to how intentional I must be and I want to be about whose energy I'm in the presence of, how my own energy is when I'm in the presence of that, and then, and Master Ashep is, oh my God, I give thanks so much, and just this whole space stays on you, oh my God, being able to fluidly pay attention and move between my openness to and also holding, like pulling in and transmuting of my own energy to others' energy like in real time based on where I desire to, how I desire to be. That was a mouthful. Yeah, there was a lot of things coming up.
Good.
Just a little bit. And that part. And then like I told you, and then right while we were convening, it was the charging was happening because I was running around in the grass with the shoes on, throwing the football, talking about that movement. I was throwing the football back and forth with Jordan all day for hours. I was surprised my arm is not more sore. But I had that thing. It's so great. My being that also talks about so much how I don't understand how to throw a football, and I don't understand the gripping of it. Oh, look at it. and you taught me. And yesterday the spiral was just spiraling. It was just spiraling.
Keep on doing
I'm not efforting. I'm not trying. Oh, that's amazing to be in that space of things, of just being.
Yeah.
And things flowing. I don't have to try so hard. I don't have to effort. It's not that I don't have to do anything. I do have to do, but I don't have to effort so hard. I love that.
Right.
Abraham talks about that. It was just so right to the soul. Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have to effort because we have everything is available to us. We just, when we're tapped in and tuned in, it just flows right to us. We don't have to effort.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Another thing is embodying that. Embodying how that, but otherwise, it's just you talking about it. While doing a lot of work, you know.
Yeah, so I give thanks for y'all for the bringing back into my awareness that exchange.
Yeah, good thanks for sharing, because it adds to, the confirming that happens when we do. We
Do you
get a
want
picture.
to know pineapple?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I think it's like pineapple.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I meant to say that. Thank you for
Thank
this
you.
bowl. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's on the- and pray for you.
Oh.
And don't turn that phone on. You're live.
All the way.
All the way live. And more synchronicities with the sun this morning.
On my way here, and a lot of people, unless they live in this area, which we don't, is what I called it, I mean, I've been catching these numbers because I'm into numerology and stuff
Okay,
too.
okay.
But it's a building, and if you're not really looking at it, you would miss that. You might know it's the school. Come find out, I realized it was a school. But the brick, it was the numbers, and it was 1 through 10, and I was like, that's all of mine. You know, so that was pretty cool. So I'm like, no, but you know, some people just don't think about it. Like
Yeah.
I look at it as we're heading here, and that's the line, that's confirmation, you know.
Read the side.
Yeah.
The interpreter of your own life's oracle reading. Every experience is an oracle reading. Interpret the reading. Experience. Is it up? Is it straight up or upside down? You know, hey, shit, they just like this experience going upside down. So that's your reading. You got the top is upside down.
It's retrograde.
It's retrograde. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, thanks for the ability to see. Make those connections. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Modality. 4 and 6. 4 and 6 is 10. Which is 1. We got as 1.
Oh, that 1:30. It was from 1:30 to 3:30. Yeah, I'm doing good. I gave myself the built-in extra time because I know me. Me is changed. So this at this moment, so we get to have a little extra 30 minutes. That what try here.
Have a good day.
Right.
You got an hour and 2 minutes.
Yeah, we got 30 more minutes. And 32 more minutes before we have to leave. 32 was my number.
Oh. You got 32. Finish your work now. Finish your work now.
Excuse me? What do you say? You better say your words now. Oh, but I'm a piece, right? I actually started to see, I learned, I listen to my children when they speak. I better say my words now, what I gotta say today. Oh, I had it too. There was so much. Pastor A was just,
I'm
giving
checking.
it to me today. Yeah,
I'm checking.
I don't need you to be checking. I got it, so.
Hey, what's that in one thing? We're out of.
Yeah.
What's up? Hi. How are you? Good. How are you?
What did you do?
What's up, man? Good seeing you.
You go first.
Doing everything
On the
good?
weekends, we just go to bed whenever type thing.
Oh,
Try
yeah.
to be free spirits and
Yeah.
not follow them.
I love that.
We don't know what it is.
We're endeavoring toward that being everyday life.
Yeah.
All right. I will tell you.
Even during the week where I'm just like,
Healthy.
Ooh, look at that.
Keep it up here.
Okay, that may make a difference. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's what, well, I already turned on.
You ready to go forward?
Oh,
You already
yeah.
turned 9 too, and then you're becoming 10.
Okay.
before you.
You ready to go forward? What's up, man? All right, how you doing? Everything well?
Before your turn 10. So you
Y'all
gonna
take
turn
care.
10 next year, man.
Yeah, he told me.
Take
That's
care.
what I just said. See, years.
All right, see y'all.
Keep
See
changing.
you, man.
But
Good to see you like the hair, bro.
y'all are the same exact age. That's what I'm pointing out.
Wow.
Apart.
All right, let's see y'all.
And we got three. They're both 9. We got all three.
Wow.
Three is mine. That is mine. So I agree that.
Wow. Yeah, y'all want to play football? We'll play football the other night in the other day outside the back.
Yeah, I have a game. I have a game.
Okay. You want to throw the ball with him? Y'all want to throw the ball with him?
Yeah, I have a game.
That's okay with you.
3 something.
Your game is up. I mean, the practice is at 1:30. That's what we just decided. Remember? Since you tracking time.
Yeah.
Keep up if you want that those pears. You probably ain't gonna eat. I'm actually gonna eat some of those. If you want to bring the whole bowl over here for me, I'll take it. 'Cause I know. And you can have some pears. You ask for it, and of course I can. Yeah. What's your love?
We come a couple of different colors in, and I keep telling them, I was like, you know, it might be a kid that comes, it might not be, it is the first time, so.
Yeah, how about that? Yeah.
Give thanks, I came today.
Yeah, right.
Because I haven't been with Jordan in a while. I usually, my youngest son is usually in town with me here. My 1.5-year-old. But Jordan's been here a few times. Yeah, what happened? That is one of the things that is really mine, one of my offerings and endeavors as part of the temple is to envision and create with everyone else, more intentional, like kid-centered and family, and it's family already, but also like intentionally, the kid in all of us, and also the kids and the little people, the little kids, the little smaller beings that are kids, but how much they reflect the fact that we all need. So anyway, I am embodying that right now myself too. So of course it is being ushered in with me and my 2 children. So yeah, I hope I hope there will be, and we're already talking about it and creating more things that are, hopefully more kids will popping up. And popping out of all of us.
Community.
Yeah, community days, because I've only done a community day a couple of times last year. Maybe only one time to have a community day. But do there tend to be more younger people at community days? Like a Saturday?
Yeah, maybe we've only had one, and Danny was the only youth there.
You talking about for this year?
Yeah.
I'm talking about like in the past for community day in general. Does it tend to draw more kids? Okay. Maybe we'll have to do some specific family days more.
Right.
Have there been? I mean, I feel like I've seen some stuff that has been like from TME specifically, but I admit, obviously, we're doing that. But.
Yeah, but they haven't been like specific, like like not like the title, but say father son this, mother daughter this, or children's this. It haven't been catered specifically for the children. It's been saying it's family friendly, meaning you can bring them.
Right.
It's not gonna be so much that they won't be like. It's not a church that can be like sit still, but but it's not like okay. Yeah, so probably your mission now is okay. What can we create just for them? An event just for them.
And we are patient about that. I admit.
Right. Yeah. And that's part of the that's what I admit does individually and collectively. We see what's happening and see, whoa, if not, instead of saying, why don't they do this? Why don't they do this? We say, oh shit, if it's really this much, how can we do this?
Yeah.
And as we hold it long enough, there'll be others that come along. We have the same path. They thought the same thing. And then at some point, we just begin to start moving forward in manifestation. So again, it comes back down to the importance of just coming together. It's Soulful Sunday. We talking about a whole nother thing, giving more movement to it now. So my person says, we can see that. It's like, okay. So the more energy given towards it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the creation.
it's happening. Just keep showing up. And pretty soon you'll see it. Yeah.
Everywhere.
Yeah. The Earth Gang. Yeah. This is it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you got a few more minutes. Yes. Anyone feeling full? Any questions or concepts and things like that?
I will share
Yeah.
from our sadhana practice with a Monday sadhana practice with Amani and some other ladies. Eight, I don't know, I said eight. I can think the only day. And the invitation, one of the invitations this morning when we were in meditation and chanting time was to have a conversation with a flame, with a fire. Oh my God. Oh, I feel it even right now. And so in my conversation with the fire, oh, so many things for shit were coming up, but it all beautifully just like ties in even to what we're saying right now. And I was noticing the colors coming up. Oh, it took me to a whole place. By noticing the blue at the base closest to the wick turning into, and even there was like a different subtleties in the shade of blue as the flame rose up, and then it was like this gray in the middle, and I was thinking, and brought me to thinking, I got pulled into thinking about the grays, and then I came back. and then it was rising to like this, not quite white, it was like it's opaque, and then moving into the yellows and the orange and the red. And it was just, oh my God, it was so beautiful. And there were many things that were coming up. It took me to the interplay between fire and water. And I started thinking about my draw to these different colors and blues and again, just like the balancing, the harmonizing of even in the colors, like it's all happening at the same time in this one fire. There's these different these frequencies of light that we're seeing in like all these different ways that are coming from the same fire. I don't know. It's just like there was a lot more, but it just was so interesting. And then it took me, of course, through my own journey of my relationship to these different colors and my favorite colors and how these colors all these particular colors have been colors that have been so meaningful to me. And then I got to thinking about my draw to purple and royalty and regalness and it just went a lot of places, but all starting from just this like this. There's so much fire with me lately. Then my other one of the candles, the one because I'm talking about release. I have a candle that is the three I've been working with lately: release, Gilead, and this one that's bitch be gone. And so the bitch be gone candle, it actually the flame was it was for some reason the other night it was like heavy leaning on the side of the glass, and so I went to go touch it when I was done meditating, and I just came out of like a whole place, so I wasn't paying attention to that well. And I went to go grab the glass, and that shit broke and cracked and burned my hand right here because the flame had burned the part of the candle, the bitch be gone. And I was laughing. I said, this is my son. This is they pulling that bitch right up. I said, y'all know Lisa wasn't taking it. She did. And she had to remind me real quick. When you don't pay attention, I can still burn it. But it was so funny. It was so many things from this.
That's crazy.
Somebody did. She makes a lot of herbal sprays. She makes like protection spray and money sprays, love sprays and stuff. But one of her sprays is called Bitch Be Gone.
I didn't get that. It's just a place here.
I know she actually lives in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, okay.
But she has a website. I can give it to you.
Okay, I love it. Look, Atlanta's a very special same place right now, so I'm like, but yeah. When I went to Nourish and Flourish yesterday. I think that probably was her, the owner who I talked to, but she, yeah, I have all that kind of stuff like Baltimore. I know there's a couple of places I could really check out here. But yeah, speaking of humbling, being humbled like shit. And I'm loving it now, though. I appreciate it.
There's this experience between embracing my power and at the same time being humble. Like being able to quote unquote manifest my reality and create my reality, and then also knowing that there is this whole other, I don't know, greater entity that is orchestrating something beyond my own understanding. But I can set an intention and then walk out into the world, and then things happen that I have no control over. And it's like, oh yeah, humble yourself. But I said that I was going out there and I was going to do X, Y, and Z, and I know I'm powerful to make this happen and make that happen, and then all of a sudden, A, B, and C happens, and how do I deal with that? How do I humble myself to the greater orchestration of reality that is not just coming from me? It's like, okay, what does God have in store for me? To learn beyond what my conscious self thinks I'm going to go out there and make happen. So yeah, that power. Because my historically in the past, as I'm coming from this meek, humble, sacrificial type of energy, and like right now, when I'm coming into my power of creation, reality creation, and manifestation, but there's still a balance between it all. Because when I'm in that space of like, I'm powerful, I can create, I can do whatever I want, and it can be a smack in the face. A hard pill to swallow when it's just like, no, it's not going the way you want it to go. It's I have to learn to release attachment and control that sense of control. And I'm like, okay, humble yourself. Yeah. I felt the bitch coming out. And when it's going my way, then you go. I could curse my like, no. What's the lesson you learned from this? What do you see? What am I seeing about myself? All right, breathe and try to control stuff, There's things deep down in my healing process that I don't know what to do to pull out. The spirit does, and I watch that happen sometimes day to day. Spirit, way more about what I'm going through than I do, and
Listen to you. Listen to you.
yeah, you're just throwing these experiences out like, man, what does a spider mean? Because spider lit my butt up 2 days in a row in 2 different moments. I don't even know if it was a spider, but something put the mess out of me on my leg and on my neck.
Did you feel it happen, or you
I
just
felt it happen?
You did.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that question. Yeah, because in the moments when they were happening, I did feel it happen, and I wasn't responding to it. It's like, no, I didn't like go in like, what's happening right now. I feel something happening. And then it was on my neck. I was laying in bed. I was struggling. And I just didn't bother to get up and move. And like, I just felt like maybe it was an itch. It's like, no, something is tickling you. And I didn't like fully get up and pull my shirt off and look at the sheets or nothing like that. And I'm like, okay.
That's the case.
I just realizing like, okay, I didn't expect for this to happen. And now it did. And now there's and I feel very humbled. There's nothing I can do about it. I want the itch to go away, or the bump to go away. And it's like, so you have to practice some self-control, not scratching it, and preserving it, let it heal. Yeah.
That was like personal, feel my person, projected. But, feel something on you, not getting, have experienced that. My person went either way. But what the things that came was, that's about things that happened also. That happened, whatever happened in experience wise. Sometimes what he said my person is sometimes find out why. Yeah. Otherwise you'd be dealing with the itch later on, but like something happened, not sure what happened. Whereas before, kind of that because a lot of times things happen, and be like, oh man, that really like that. That was oh well, guess we go over here and we get something else done. But why didn't it happen? What was it that came along that interfered and caused it to happen? There may be some stuff that beneficial. That's all.
When you were talking about that, like balance of knowing that you are that you can manifest, you can create versus what life presents to you. I thought of the idea of just like a collaboration. You know what I mean? Instead of being like I'm doing this thing and the universe does that this thing. Kind of just like instead of seeing it as you being in collaboration with the universe, that way whatever it brings to the table is not like that's how I had planned type,
Yeah.
feeling that you get when things don't go your way. Just thinking more of it as a collab and whatever they brought to you was something that you needed for for your greatest good.
Yeah. That's where the humbling. That's that energy of like going back to yes, there's a collaboration happening. It's not just what our consciously thinks like or think that I'm manifesting. Like it is what I'm manifesting in collaboration, but it wasn't. I didn't consciously think of it as that way. And okay, remember, yes, it's collaboration happening, and it's for my greater good. Yeah.
And then that just made me think about something that you said yesterday. And you literally used that word, I don't know if you remember, collaboration. And you were talking, and as we were talking, you were saying that you wanted to collaborate. You had this fear, you wanted to collaborate. That's just part of what like, you told me, but I don't know if you want to collaborate. It would be the whole discussion. It was like that angst of like, there's so many things we must do as we were talking about it. And being in the only reality of the now that exists within the conversation and like actually collaborating and creating that both of us talk about feeling more valuable.
Yeah.
Like the clarity was coming, even though nothing effectively had changed about all the different options. It was like the clarity, the inner standing, the inner clarity, the choice, discernment about which option to pursue became, or maybe not for me, not obvious, it's not the word, but for me, it was becoming clearer. And also what I was reminded of, which is often what happens, I literally can do all the things. I don't have to choose. I don't have to choose. It's because when I'm doing it in collaboration, when I have tribe, team, whatever, when I'm in community, I don't feel the weight of all the things landing and helping help just by me, right? And it was like being in that conversation was the action that was having the weight of all the things feel lighter, even though all the things still exist.
That's the alphabet right there. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Every moment, yeah. Like this, it's like, I don't know, you supposed to be here. I didn't plan to be here yesterday. Or did, because you mentioned it yesterday, but I wasn't like, I knew this is where I'm going to be. You know how I flow, like I don't know what I'm man. But like realizing that it's all being orchestrated, even my thoughts. You know, like even thoughts aren't always something that I'm just choosing to have. It's spirit inspiring me, you know. So it's like, but it could even be inspiring me just to have an experience. Like it's inspiring me to be intentional about this thing, but that thing may not actually happen. But there's a different reason why I needed to have that intention, it not happen, and then learn that lesson. But I wouldn't have learned the lesson or been in the space that you know, have this type of experience if I didn't have this intention that was going to be, you know, not what's happening in this moment.
And you just connected back to the other thing that you said earlier too, which is why the release of not having the attachment to the thing is so important, because we get millions of thoughts all the time. And when we're not attached to any of them, we can just let them be. And then whatever happens, that's cool. That's what's supposed to happen anyway. And now I don't feel the resistance because I didn't decide that I wanted this thought to happen because I was really looking up. So I'm pursuing that one, and now I want that one to happen so much so when it doesn't happen, now I'm disappointed. I ain't doing that shit. I'm like, I'm releasing that. I'm releasing that. It feels so great. It's scary.
Powerful humility. That's what I'm coming to. Powerful humility. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And definitely a powerful lesson to grasp, to think and perceive without judgment, and to go with the intention that everything that is happening, whether I perceive it good or bad, you know, it is for my greater intention, and definitely good to go from that collaboration mindset or aspect which you were speaking of, you know, so that you feel like you're working with the universe versus working against it. And, you know, your soul definitely knows more than you consciously do. So definitely better to kind of lean into it. And, you know, even though some experiences may be challenging and difficult, they have very important lessons and make us essentially stronger. You know, they build our tolerance for certain things. As difficult and strenuous as it may be.
Challenging.
And, yeah, you know, just do your best to, you know, breathe through it and, you know, try not to resist. Yeah, so I'm struggling with that as well. So I definitely feel it. And it does get complicated.
I didn't say what it was, maybe.
No.
By the way.
Oh, you didn't.
Or that I'm an expert at that either.
No, you did not. I get that.
We come together in these, you know, fellowships. Iron sharpened iron. Therapists by each other, just be sharing those stories. This is it. That's it. That's it. That being said, we move to maybe relax now. While wait to embody, as you begin to embody it now, go ahead and just play these roles for a little while. Just relax into the energy to embody, you know. Starting from the last Bible conversation that we just talked about, all the way back up, and allow it to come into the body so that we can settle it. But enough to be strong. Maybe up, you know, share next month we'll come back first Sunday.
I'm gonna have to roll out in about 10 minutes.
That's all right. This will be about 8 minutes.
Say it again.
It'll be about 8 minutes.
Oh, okay. I just was gonna let you know, so I don't want to disrupt the flow.
Yeah, not full sound bad. Just put something to, you know. So, you know, the embodied before going to the next out in the world is one of the things, you know. Well, you're doing, Calvin. We're gonna that way for you. Yeah, just as long as you're comfortable. It was just an easy place to set the goals here, you know. Yeah, as long as you get the goals, you know, just chill, that's it, you know, whatever you do. Or if not, just know, raise goals, yeah. Should be out front of the girl, should be out front.
Yeah, I'm not putting picture on. That's my fingers up.
Give thanks for another Soulful Sunday experience. Indeed. Be back again next month, or May 4th.